Hey everybody, welcome back. I have a interesting case study. It's with one of my YouTube supporters. He contacted me a few weeks ago and said that he was attempting to program a TCM module and he was having server issues. He wasn't able to connect to Autel servers. So ironically, today I actually had another call of somebody who was doing the same manufacturer, which was Mercedes, and had the same issue. So in this case study, I'm not only going to show you how to do the programming, but I'm also going to show you how you can rectify those scenarios when you have server issues. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Today I'm going to share with you how to program a TCM module on a 2007 Mercedes CLS class with the MaxiSys Elite. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Curtis Harden. I'm an Autel Diagnostic consultant. I sell this amazing piece of equipment, but more importantly, I offer the training and support that you're going to see in this presentation. Now, what you'll learn by the end is the location of the TCM module. You'll also learn the preparation and steps needed to extract the TCM from the vehicle safely. Third, step-by-step instructions on how to program the TCM. Fourth, what to do when you encounter a can't match SNC Data from server error and how you can fix it in 24 hours or less. And lastly, where to get BENZ repair information in order to diagnose your vehicle properly. The tools that we're going to be using today are the following. The MaxiSys Elite tablet, you need a valid Autel subscription, strong Wi-Fi connectivity, and a battery maintainer. To give you a bit of insight about the client, Tommy is a long-term YouTube supporter. He works at a diesel repair shop but loves to work on his own vehicle, and he owns a MaxiSys Elite. Now the problem Tommy was having was when he replaced the TCM, it was a brand new TCM, he was not able to get his MaxiSys Elite to program the module. He was having some issues connecting to Autel servers. So what he did was he hired me to find out the source of the problem and assist him with the programming procedure. So when I logged into Tommy's tablet to diagnose the situation, I asked him, I said, Tommy, when did you get this tablet? He's like, oh, Kurt, you know what? It's been about 3 or 4 years now. And he said, I could remember clearly. He said he watched one of my videos where I instructed people or recommended people not to register their tool right away. Only register it when a critical situation happens like this, where only a software issue can fix it. So he said, you know what? I actually don't remember registering the tool. So I said, look, Tommy, if that's the case, once we register it, then you'll be able to connect to Autel servers, because the only way you can program for BMW and Mercedes is by having a valid subscription. So I checked, and luckily he didn't have any account associated with this tool. So we made an account, we registered his tool, and he was happy because he didn't have to pay the $1,200 update fee. So that was a victory. Now, if you're going to do this procedure yourself, or I'm going to tell you right now, cleanliness is key. You have to be clean when you're doing this because it's a very, very messy job, okay? And if you look closely, the location of the TCM, I don't know if you can see it, it's right here, okay? So since it's at the base of the vehicle, we're gonna have to elevate it in order to extract it. Now, some common terminology, it's called a TCM, but you can also refer this to as a conductor plate. In Mercedes, to get like nerdy, they call it an electro-hydraulic control unit. All right. Now, the first thing we need to do is remove the splash panel cover. After we do that, we need to drain all the oil out by removing the drain plug, which you can see right there, okay? And when you're doing this, you need to make sure you have a big enough basin to collect all the fluid, because there's going to be layers of it, okay? Now, when you remove the screws from the transmission fluid pan, all right, it's going to give us the visualization of the valve body. Now there's going to be a filter that you need to take out, okay, which is easy to remove, and there's going to be some more of the fluids that are going to be coming out of the valve body, so just be prepared for that. Very important, before you actually take out the valve body, there's going to be a wiring plug that's connected to the conductor plate, okay? You need to disconnect that, then you can take out the valve body, because if you do that, it's going to just damage your whole conductor plate connector. All right, after we take that off, what I really recommend as well is to, on the solenoids, is to label them, because you need to put them back in its exact position as what you took out. So by labeling them, you can cross-reference, okay, this one goes here, this one goes here, and you put everything back together. And here is our beautiful TCM module. All right, now that you know the location, let's get to the programming. First thing we're going to do, we're going to click programming, and we're going to go to the transmission control module. From here, there's going to be another option. Let me just fast forward this. Control module programming right there on the top. We're going to select that, and it's going to give us a prompt. It just warns us, we're going into risky territory. And for this procedure, we actually need to use the USB cable that comes with your kit. So when this prompt came on, the client went to get his cable. I went ahead and deactivated his Bluetooth. All right. Then once we put the cable back on top of the tablet, connected to the J-box, then we can proceed with the programming procedure. So I'm going to click OK. It's going to give us the VIN number. We're going to verify that and click OK. And then we're going to start the first phase of the SEN coding. So we're going to click step 1, and we're going to, I think we're going to have another prompt here. Let's see what it says. Okay, so now we're getting the SEN coding. Now, he told me he wasn't able to get this far before his tool was updated, and everything was looking good. I thought everything's gonna go smoothly, but if I go, I think it's when it gets about 16%, we're gonna get that dreadful error code. All right, just give it a couple more, 15, 16. All right, so the first steps, you don't need to do nothing. The problem is at the bottom here where it says if the SEN data has been not gathered and sent to the server before, in order to respond to your SEN requirements in time, please click the gather button up top. So the gather button is just the data lodging button, and that's what I did. All right, so it's basically telling me that it's been the data's been collected, and now I have to submit the data lodging to the engineer. So I went and did this on the behalf of the client, which you're going to see here. All right, so there it is. And I'm going to take you kind of behind the scenes of what happens when you submit a data lodging. All right. Now, for those of you who don't know, a data lodging is the collection of data over a certain period of time when you're doing your diagnostic session, okay? Data lodging typically monitor a process using sensors linked to a computer. So in plain English, they can detect the health of the Autel software, they can detect the health of all the control units and everything that's correlating into the vehicle. This will explain why when sometimes you put in a use module and you try to do some coding on it, it doesn't work, because maybe the hardware level is different. And with the data lodging, the engineer can tell me. There's been many times where they told me, hey Kurt, the reason why it's not going through is because this module is not the right hardware level. It's for a different year or something like that. So this information is critical. It saves you a lot of time, a lot of guessing. You'll know exactly what the problem is. So in this case, you can see he has two problems. It's the Autel software, and then on the CAN network. So many of you who are familiar with the data logging say, you know what, Kurt, I submit these things and they only get back to me at a later time. The reason for that is because Autel gets thousands of these per day, and it's really impossible to address all of them because they have to go through an engineer, and the engineer has to analyze your information and submit you that data back. So what I did to address this problem was I'll have the client's serial number. It'll go through my system. It will go to the engineer who's in charge of that manufacturer, and that engineer will then notify me as well as the client within a 24-hour period. Okay, so what I recommend if you're don't have access to this type of service, maybe call your supplier and ask them, hey, here's my serial number, can you do a manual data logging follow-up for me? And that way that would speed up your response. So let's go back into the client's tablet, and I'm going to share with you the engineer's response based on the data logging that we submitted. All right, so if we look closely, I think it's right, I think it's the third one, yeah. All right, so dear customer, we have matched the new SEN data for you. Please redo the SEN function. If there's still a problem, if your gearbox is used, if it's a used gearbox, please erase the gearbox data before going under the SEN function. So I didn't know that you can actually use a second-hand gearbox for this vehicle. So for those of you, I don't want you to just jump and put on used components. You need to verify if it's possible before you attempt to do it, okay? This particular vehicle, that function was possible. So we're going back into the vehicle, and we're gonna go and do the programming. So right here, we're just identifying it. Let me speed this up. All right, and for those of you who are doing diagnostics, like my client was asking me, what is this menu? Where it says repair order, that is for your auto body repair shops when they're doing pre and post scans. If you're just going to do a diagnostics, you can click scan alone, or there's a function on your scanner where it can take it right off, because it's annoying sometimes. So we are identifying the vehicle, and there's all the data on it. And now let me see if I can just speed this up. We're going to go programming, and then we're going to go to programming and coding, and then we're going to click transmission, and that should take us to the sequence we need to do to program it. Control module programming right there on the top middle, and we're going to let that go. All right, so there's a warning. And then remember, we need that USB. Okay, so yeah, this is gonna be the second one, is the one that is catered for our vehicle. All right, it's just a confirmation that the value is gonna be changed. And click yes. It's asking us the VIN number if it matches, and click OK. And we're gonna let it do its thing. And you're going to see this time it's going to go all the way through. All right, and let me fast forward this a little bit. Okay, so there's the file. It downloaded, and that's pretty much it. We're going to click, I think we're going to click yes. It's going to ask us to turn on the ignition, and then we're pretty much done. Now, usually when I do a programming procedure, I always like to go back and see what codes are left. All right, we're going to erase the codes, and we're going to give it a test drive after that. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going all the way out and I'm doing a diagnostic scan. And initially the TCM didn't have any faults, but after doing another scan, there were two critical faults that were concerning. So one was here. I'm just going to let this play. Number 12, the system diagnostics can. And I'm going to jump in there for you guys. All right, number 12. All right, we're going to go read codes. All right, now I wasn't too sure on what this meant. All right. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the TCM module, transmission, read codes. All right. And then we have a 0513, the CAN signal for the start enabled transmitted to drive authorization system by transmission control is missing or invalid. So two of those fault codes were pointing to something in the CAN network. So I told Tommy, I said, look, I was validated by the engineer that the programming was successfully done on that module, and go ahead and give it a try. So as he was trying to engage his gears, he told me it was still not able to reverse. It was still doing the same thing as before. So I said, look, I think it's something it has to do with something with that CAN network. And what I recommend him to do was actually to go to Mercedes it's called startechinfo.com, and purchase a day subscription to get like all the schematics on the car, wiring diagrams, repair procedures, and that way we can diagnose it. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time on Google trying to figure out what the heck, the issues with your car. And with Mercedes, like even Mitchell on Demand or IDENTIFIX don't even have a lot of information on Mercedes, on European vehicles in general. So there's no way someone from home, they're not going to subscribe to something like that. So the cost is about $60, but what I did was I actually had a subscription already active, and I said, look, I'll take your vehicle and I'll see what we can find. So what I discovered was the transmission control module is monitoring and works with the vehicle speed, position of the selector level, acceleration pedal position, the state of the transmission, and also signals of the control area network. Now, if you look here, it clearly says, the fault code says the CAN signal for the start enables sent to drive authorization system by transmission control module is missing or invalid. Possible cause, check the CAN communication with control unit N93 on the central gateway control unit. So everything is pointing back to this CAN network. So I say what we need to do is find out where this central gateway control unit is and diagnose it, test it. So logging into Mercedes repair information, it gives us access to where that is. And look, I'm not a diagnostic person. Like, you can't book me to diagnose your situation. That's not my strong point. But what I can tell you is, if you're having a CAN issue where the module isn't communicating, you need to check the power to the module, then check the ground to the module, and then lastly check the CAN connection to the module. Okay, if you do all those tests and all those tests are fine, you might have an issue with the actual control unit itself. Okay, so you can see, like, having this type of data could save you a lot of money. All right, and when you're buying a Mercedes, things are going to be more costly. So for me, $60 is not a lot of money. I'll download all the information I need for that vehicle and I'll be able to do it myself. All right, so In summary, guys, what I hope you learn from this is, first, make sure you have a valid subscription when you're programming. The second thing, if you have a software error, submit a data lodging and ask your supplier to follow it up for you. All right. Lastly, go to www.startechinfo.com to purchase your repair information. Now, I will tell you, all right, their sequence in buying a subscription and installing their repair information software is not user friendly. So if you need assistance, what you can do is you can go to my website, www.auteltech.co.za, and book a diagnostic tool consultation. I'll be more than happy to help you navigate and learn how to use that site properly. Okay. Also, if you are trying to figure out which tool you would like to purchase, you can also go to my website. I'll consult you. They usually take about an hour. And if you want to purchase from me, I'll be more than happy to represent you. So with that, guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope you got some value from this case study, and I really appreciate your support. And with that, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.